Shalom Aleichem and welcome to Machim Le'ira my Smicha. The Gemara in Tainis, Daf Chav Tesam at Aleph, the Gemara says, B'Tisha B'Av Nigzar Alav V'Seinish Le'Yikans L'Aretz. On Tisha B'Av is when the Yidden were told, the Dera Midbar was told that you guys are not going into Eretz Yisrael. And he says the whole story, how the Meraglim came back and he said the report and everybody started crying. Amar Rabba Rabbi Yochanan, Rabba said the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Oisa Laila Leil Tisha B'Av Hoya. The time they came back was the night of Tisha B'Av. And Hashem says, oh, you're getting impressed from what the Malachim, from what the Meraglim are saying. Atam B'chisim B'chir Shalchinam. You cried a wasted cry for no reason, nothing to worry about. But I'm going to turn this day into a permanent day of crying, Rahman al-Litzlan, which eventually became the Churban Beis HaMikdash. And the Gemara says, Charav Abayis Barishayna. The first Beis HaMikdash was destroyed on Tisha B'Av and became a day of mourning. But the Gemara brings two psukim. In one pasuk it says that it happened on the Shiva L'Chodesh, the seventh day of Av. Then the Gemara says, it brings another pasuk when it says, Ba'asar L'Chodesh, on the 10th day of Av. So the Gemara asks, how is this possible? It's either the 7th or the 10th. And the Gemara answers, B'Shiva Nichnasu Nachram Ha'Heichel. On the 7th day of Av, the Goyim went into the Heichel. V'achlu, v'kilkulu, and they ate there, they ruined things there. The 7th, the 8th, they partied, Rahman al-Litzlan, in the Beis HaMikdash, and then in the Heichel. Utshi, and then the 9th day, towards the end of that day, Rahman al-Litzlan, they put it on fire. It would light, the fire started Tisha B'Av at night and lit all the way through tomorrow, through Yud Av. And he brings a pasuk, Oilanu kipana hayoyim ki yinatu tzilulei erev, and therefore Tisha B'Av became Tisha B'Av. But Rabbi Yochanan says, Ilmolei hayisi ba'isi adar. If I was there in that generation, the ones who established when the fast day should be, like kivativ elaba Asiri, I would have said that the main day of fasting should be on the 10th of Av, because that's when the fire was really intense, and Rahman al-Litzlan Ruba Shal Heichel by Nisraf, and the majority of the Heichel was destroyed, was burnt on the 10th of Av. However, the Rabbanan didn't do it that way. And the Gemara asks, Taka, why the Rabbanan didn't think of such a thing, that establishing a Yud Av, if the fire just started the night before, the main part of the Heichel burnt on Asiri B'Av. And the Gemara says, Rabbanan Aschalta the Puranasa Adifa. The Rabbanan say where it began is the worst. So it's because the fire was set on Tisha B'Av, that's why we fast on Tisha B'Av. So this is the difference between Rabbanan and Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbanan say they lit the Heichel, they lit the Beis HaMikdash on fire on Tisha B'Av towards the end of the day, you fast. Then Rabbi Yochanan said, I would have chose to make the fast the next day, because that's when actually the most of the Heichel was burnt. In the Yerushalmi, in Maseches Tainis Perek Daled Halacha Vav, he actually brings that there were people who established to fast Sai Chi and Sai Asiri, the 9th and the 10th day, or at least through the 10th night, because that's where the fire was the strongest. In Shulchan Aruch, we find in Siman Tuf Kuf Nun Ches, it says, because of this, Tisha B'Av, it's Mechaber brings, Tisha B'Av nighttime is when they lit the Beis HaMikdash, and that's when the fire was strong. So therefore, for this reason, minig kasher, it's a proper minig. According to the Mechaber, even though we fast on Tisha B'Av, but because of this, what Rabbi Yochanan said, that the fire was intense, the next day, we don't eat meat and we don't drink wine, all next day too. That's the Mechaber. The Ramah, the Ashkenazim, will follow what the Ramah says, that yes, it's not a good day to do anything, but this Chumrah should only apply ad Chatzos Hayom, only till midday. So Tisha B'Av, you fast, full blast fast, and next day, because the fire was still burning, at least at least wine and meat, you shouldn't eat or drink until midday. And all the Achrayim already discussed how about the showers, how about the washing clothes, wearing new clothes. But once it hits midday, then according to the Ramah, all is allowed. Now, even the Mechaber, even the Ramah who says you don't eat meat until Chatzos, that's if you have no other loophole. But if it's a Sudas Mitzvah, the Mishnah Berurah says you're allowed to. And over here, it's different than the Sudas Mitzvah in the 9 days. In the Sudas Mitzvah in the 9 days, perhaps only the people who are close to the person who learned this Masechta, who are really joy, over there they could eat meat. But a standard person who pops into the shul shouldn't really eat meat because he doesn't get excited for what somebody else did. In this case, it's a little lower of a chumrah, so here anybody could eat meat. Okay, this is the halacha based on the Rabbi Yochanan. Now there is many questions on this. First of all, what Rabbi Yochanan is sort of saying sense. The fire burnt all next day, and it's really where it really happened. So some Mefarshim say that there's a difference between the act of lighting it on fire or letting it burn. The act of putting it on fire happened on Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av. Now the fact that it burnt all the 10th day of Av, that's not the act of the person doing it. So the downfall, it's because the aschalter de puranasa, it's the beginning of the. When we're mourning the bad action is when you put on the fire. The fact that fire doesn't get extinguished, that's an outcome. That's heavenly. That's something Hashem did. So we're mourning what a person did, what mankind did, and we're not mourning what Hashem did so much on the next day. This ties into a big issue in halacha, because this same Rabbi Yochanan that says that he would have done it on the 10th of Av, this same Rabbi Yochanan in another Gemara says, Eish mishum chitzoi, that if anybody lights a fire and the fire spreads and causes damage, even though he lit the fire in a place where it didn't cause damage, in his own place, but because fire is able to spread, so it's just like shooting an arrow, wherever it spreads, you're responsible for lighting a fire. So others ask, if Rabbi Yochanan holds Eish Mishum Chitzoi, then obviously the minute the match gets struck, you light the match, already then, being that the potential is it could spread, the person who lights the match gets responsible. So this same Rabbi Yochanan shouldn't put all the emphasis on the next day. He should put the emphasis on when it was started, because he sees in the starting action the results already for a person to be punished. So the Avnei Nezer gives an answer to this question by saying, sure, when you're talking about somebody striking a match or making a fire in a small area and it spreads, he's responsible for spreading, because even though he struck the match here, because in striking a match in this one area, potentially it could spread. So you have to be aware of that. But that's when you're talking about monetary issues of damage. Who's responsible for the damage? Am I responsible even though I lit it far away? But it traveled. That's one issue. Who's the act? But over here, it's not the question of who's the act. The question is, we are never mourning the fact that we don't have a Beis Hamikdash. At what point was that final? The Tisha B'Av at night, you could have swallowed it a little because it just began. When was the Churban a full blast, Rahman al-Flan, was next day. So for us, what we feel our loss is much greater on Asiri B'Av. And therefore, Rabbi Yochanan felt that you should have fasted on Asiri B'Av. Others say the same explanation I said before, that the lighting of the match was what a mankind did, what a human did, and that's terrible. The fact that Hashem made the nature that fire travels, that's a heavenly thing, and for that we don't necessarily put the stress. Now, The Minchas Chinuch also asks a question here. The Minchas Chinuch's question is, how was Rabbi Yochanan even thinking to do it on the 10th when there's a pasuk? The pasuk is saying that the Eibishter says, the psukim are either in the Shvi or the Chi, and the pasuk makes it sound like there was established clearly to be Tisha B'Av. So the Minchas Chinuch says, no. In most of these psukim, when it speaks about fast days, it doesn't say the date of the month. It says there is a fast on the 5th month, the month of Av. There's a fast in the month of Tevis. So the months are mentioned, Chisri, Chamishi, but the exact date, it was up to the Chachamim to decide which day to do it. So Rabbi Yochanan said, if I would have been there, I would have chosen another day. The Marsha asks a question, how could you say that Rabbi Yochanan wanted to do it on the Asiri? It's all started when they came back from the Meraglim. And the Meraglim came back on Tisha B'Av. And Hashem said, today is going to become a bad day. So how would Rabbi Yochanan want to do it on Asiri? So the Marsha says, because the Meraglim came towards the end of the night, end of the day on Tisha B'Av, they reported at the end of the day of Tisha B'Av. And the crying rolled over to the next day. And Hashem says, your crying of the 10th will become crying forever. So Rabbi Yochanan felt that would be that way. Now, another answer, a beautiful answer is discussed here. A beautiful explanation over here is discussed. Why do the Chachamim don't agree with the Rabbi Yochanan? Rabbi Yochanan is giving sense. He's saying, the Beis Hamikdash is burned mainly on the 10th. The answer the Chassam Sofer gives, the Ari Sameach gives, even though it burned mostly on the 10th, but the minute the Goyim came in, and as the Gemara used the Lashon, they desecrated, they party there. So when they were Mechalel, when they desecrated the Kalim in the Beis Hamikdash, that was the Churban. From now on, once it's desecrated, what's being burnt is a regular building. So therefore, the desecration happened in the 9th of Av. And for that, the Chachamim said you have to fast then. It also burnt next day. At that point, it wasn't already in the same level of holiness as the Beis Hamikdash because it was already, Rahman al fully desecrated. And the Eibush should give us that we should receive the Beis Hamikdash, the Chamas Siyim Yerushalayim.